you will see guys who are at a different level than you doing certain things dealing with women, and you won't understand.
What's this all about?
Click the link below to get the ebook, Looks Don't Matter, 7 Ways to Attract Women Without Your Looks, or go straight to mrlocario.com right now to get your copy today. Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. What's good? So, in this video, I want to talk about why the game is so confusing to some guys. Like, you know, understanding women, how to navigate this game, like why are a lot of guys so confused, and also why a lot of guys think they understand the game, but they don't really understand it. And the reason why they don't understand it, and the reason why they're confused at certain times, right, is because they are not at a certain level. Like, they haven't reached a certain level of the game. Because certain things when it comes to this game is not going to make sense to you until you reach a certain level of the game, right? This is why I tell guys, step up their game, actually go out there, make things happen, you know, so that you can be at a certain level to understand certain things, right? Because what happens is that when you don't understand certain things and you're not at that level, right, you're missing essential parts of the game that can actually help you improve your life, right? So, for example, I remember, you know, when I was like struggling financially, like, look, I'm not rich right now or anything, but I'm making way more money than I used to make right now. When I was struggling financially and I was poor, let's just, you know, call it what it was, right? I used to look at people who had a lot of money, and I'd be like, yo, why would they spend that much money on a shirt? Or why would they spend that much money on jewelry? Or why would they spend this much money on a car? Right? And what happened is that because I was not at that level of making money, I didn't understand why they would do that. I was like, that's stupid. Like, why would you spend this much money on a car? If I had that much money, I wouldn't spend it on no stupid car. I wouldn't spend it on, you know, this thing or that thing, right? Now, the reason why I was saying that is because I was poor. And me being poor, I was in a certain situation where I didn't have the experience of making that much money and having that much money, right? Now, when I started to make that much money and have that much money, then my perspective changed. Now, I thought that, for example, the person who had all that money was just buying these things because, you know, they were trying to be cool or just show off how much money they had, right? But then when I realized certain things as I was, you know, making more money and got into a little bit more of a situation than I was before, right? I was like, okay, I'm actually seeing why some of these guys might spend this money. So for example, you might have a guy who, let's say he's a businessman and he's making a certain amount of money, and because of taxes, right, he can write certain things off, you know, based off of his, you know, his business, instead of having to, you know, give it away. You understand what I'm saying? When it comes to taxes. So he can say, you know what, instead of giving this money to the government, I can use this money to buy this car or buy this jet or buy this other thing so I can travel to business meetings so I can, you know, write this off on taxes. But see, me being poor, I'm not even thinking like that because I'm not at that level. Right? I'm just thinking he's just trying to buy that to show off and look cool and all that other stuff. Right? So when you're not at a certain level, right, you don't understand certain things at another level, right? So now I use this example to say this, is that when you're not at a certain level of the game, when it comes to you dealing with women, right, you will see guys who are at a different level than you doing certain things dealing with women, and you won't understand. Right? So, for example, a lot of times guys, you know, they talk about, oh, well, where's the receipts at? Where's the receipts at? Right? And because you're at a certain level of the game, you think showing receipts is like the cool thing to do. But when you're at a different level of the game, when you're dealing with different women, when you're dealing with multiple women, when you're dealing with women in certain types of jobs and certain types of things, you know that being discreet, you know that keeping stuff on the low is the better option than being out here in the street showing off, you know, the chicks that you're messing with. And on top of that, when you get to that certain level of the game, you understand that you don't have anything to prove, as where when you're at the lower level of the game, you're trying to prove to everybody that you're the man. And, oh, I got all these girls, and look at me and look at me. You understand? So you have that sort of mentality. So when you're at that level, you can't understand why a guy at a different level of the game would not be indulging in that type of nonsense. Right? See, what happens is that you're confused about the game and about women because you are at a certain level. So certain things don't make sense to you. But see, you have this arrogance because you think you know. Just like how arrogant I was, like, oh, look at these stupid guys with their money spending all this other crazy stuff, right? Because even back in the day, I used to be like, oh, why would this person spend this amount of money on these clothes when I can get a 3 packs of shirts for $10? But then I didn't realize that the guy who paid $100 for this shirt, his shirt is better quality than the shirt that I got for three shirts for $10. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because I didn't have the type of money to where I could spend $100 on a shirt. You see what I'm saying? And that shirt most likely lasts longer than the one I got for 3 in a pack for $10. But see, when I'm at that level of the game, I don't understand the level of the game when a guy can spend $100 for the shirt. Now I'm just using that, you know, the money thing in this context to get you guys to understand a point. I don't want it to fly over your head and be like, oh, Locario, are you saying that we need to get money? No, I'm not talking about that, because I know some dudes are kind of slow with it. So I'm just saying that I'm using this as a metaphor. Right? So what happens is that when you're at a certain level, you're not going to understand things at a different level because you're not there yet. You understand what I'm saying? You're not there. See, it's almost like, what's funny to me is like, this is why I always laugh at dudes where they'll be like, Locario, I don't understand. You know, how are you in an open relationship and you allow your wife to have sex with, other dudes and blah, 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 blah. I get it. You don't understand because you're not at a certain level. I get it. You understand? It's not going to make sense to you because you're at a different level. You understand? It's not going to make sense to you. See, when you're the type of guy who doesn't really get as much sex as a guy like me, right? You haven't been dealing with women on a consistent basis, long term, short term, like a guy like me. If you're not at that level, you're not going to understand this stuff. You see what I'm saying? Because again, it's like to use the money metaphor again, it's like the poor person trying to understand why the rich person does what they do with their money. If you're not at that level, you will never understand it. So you have to get to that level to understand it. You see what I'm saying? So for example, when it comes to that, that topic, the way that you look at sex and relationships at a particular level will not let you understand it at the level where I'm talking about in my specific situation. This is why it's so hard for guys to wrap their head around it. You see what I'm saying? Where they just don't understand. And it's cool. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just you got to understand that you don't understand. So that's why a lot of times when people even, ask me about it or try to come at me about it on a disrespectful level, my thing now is always ask them, I say, do you understand the level? I say, do you understand the non-monogamous situation? If you don't, then I can't really take it seriously. You understand what I'm saying? So what guys have to understand is that there's levels to this game shit. And if you do not understand that there's levels to it, you're going to be confused. And part of the confusion is thinking that you're on the same level when you're not. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of guys what's interesting, the guys who are on that lower level of the game where they're just starting to kind of understand things, they have this arrogance like they really know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, for example, guys who are always like, oh, well, it's all about the looks. And, if, you got to have a good looking face, and it's all about your face being good looking, and, the body ain't all that. But if your face looks good, the girl's going to want you, and blah, blah, blah. And, if you don't look like this, then what? See, those dudes are not at a certain level of game to understand other things that's going on outside in these streets. You understand? They're not at that level yet. And so that's why they're confused. That's why they don't really understand. That's why you could have a guy who's good looking, who's still having all this trouble, and he's just confused and don't know what the fuck's going on because he's not at a certain level of the game. Now, once he gets to a certain level of the game, he will realize, oh shit, I understand how being good looking could work for me, but I also understand that me being good looking isn't the end all be all. And still there are actually, negatives to that point. And I still need to have game in order to get the type of women that I want overall. See, what happens is this, and this is the thing, in order to get to the next level of the game, in order for you to continuously upgrade your mind, and in order for you to, make your game even tighter, you understand? Because there's no end to this. But what I'm saying is to get your game even tighter, what happens is that you actually have to humble yourself. You understand? You got to humble yourself. Because see, what happens is that when you think that all the shit, you're like, oh, I know everything, and I, no, it's this way, and these guys don't know what they're talking about, blah, 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 right? When you think you know everything, that's what stops you from growing. You understand? See, what I find interesting is that a person at my level of the game understands that they don't know everything, but the person that's all the way behind me, who's at a lower level than me, thinks they know everything. But the funny part is that as you step up your game and the tighter your game gets, that's when you realize that you know nothing. Meaning that there's so much more to understand and to know because you're growing. So you go from that arrogant little fucker who thinks, oh, well, I know everything. It's all about looks, money, and status. And if you're, if you're not on your purpose and all of that goofy shit y'all niggas be saying on YouTube. See, once you move on from that and actually get out here and do shit, you'll see that the game is fucking infinite. You see that, there's a lot of shit to learn and to understand and to make shit happen. But see, you got to get to a certain level to realize that you were on the lower level. You understand? But I just want you guys to understand and just to think about that is that, there's certain things that don't really make sense to you because You are not at that level yet for it to make sense to you. But in order for you to get to that level, you have to humble yourself, actually listen to people who are at a different level than you, right? And then bring yourself to that level. Step up your game. Now, before you go, click the link below and go to badboymembership.com. Now, badboymembership.com is a place where you go to get 45 through 90-minute audio and video dating advice tutorials every month. Listen, I know you're tired of being rejected. Go to badboymembership.com. I know you're tired of being afraid to approach women. Go to badboymembership.com. I know you're tired of not getting the women that you want. Go to badboymembership.com. Listen, I know you're tired of being alone on a Friday night. Go to badboymembership.com. Now picture this. You'll go from not getting what you want when it comes to you dealing with women to actually getting what you want, to being the guy women want to be with, women want to date, women want to have sex with. All you need to do is go to badboymembership.com, follow the steps, learn the game, implement the game, and then you will get the woman you want. Make sure you go to badboymembership.com today. Click the link below. Click the link below or go straight to mr.locario.com to get the documentary Game Kings, The Definition of Game.